Hello everyone, welcome to Holy Week. You'll notice that in this video we're going to be talking about Bleak Saturday, which is a little different from the traditional name of Holy Saturday. And part of why that is that Holy Saturday is just a really boring name for a really interesting day. So first of all, let's get this settled. Oftentimes people ask what's going on with the 3 days and 3 nights thing. You count, if Jesus was really died on Friday, as we suggest by celebrating Good Friday, then how does it work out that Jesus rose again on the third day? You say, well, dead Friday, dead Saturday, rises on Sunday. But you have this whole thing going on where Jewish days start with night instead of starting with day. So really you have this like Friday night into Saturday day, and then Saturday night into Sunday day, but that doesn't work. So you have this really confusing timeline, especially if you want it to work like full on Jonah style, where Jesus is dead for 3 days and 3 nights. The timeline doesn't work. So where you start to see some problems there is you say, well, why do we think that Jesus died on Friday? And the answer is basically because he had to be taken down from the cross before Shabbat, before the Sabbath. And this is an interesting one because remember, Jesus dies at Passover time. And at Passover, the rules for Shabbat work a little bit differently. So there are a few different models out there in terms of when Jesus actually died. Some people think he died on Wednesday or Thursday as opposed to Friday. I have to say, I don't have it completely figured out. I've seen a bunch of different models, and I'm not sure which of them is exactly correct. I'm pretty sure he didn't die on Friday. I think there is a lot more going on there in terms of which Sabbath they're talking about. Again, Passover gets a little bit complicated, some of the terminology that's used. But the reason why we celebrate Good Friday on Friday is because that's the classic Shabbat. That's the Sabbath that most people are aware of. Friday night, as the sun is going down, that's when you would have a normal Sabbath. But boy, this Sabbath thing is important for understanding what Bleak Saturday, whether or not this is the actual the only full day that Jesus was dead. I doubt that. But it is clearly a day that Jesus was dead. We know for a fact he rose on Sunday. The whole reason why Sunday is celebrated by Christians is the fact that Jesus rose on the first day of the week, which is Sunday. So we know for sure that Easter is a Sunday. And because of this Saturday is pretty special. I call it Bleak Saturday because it was the day that hope seemed gone. The disciples are just like freaking out. They're all together by themselves. They say, what do we do next? We left everything to follow Jesus, and now apparently Jesus has let us down. They couldn't see any way forward. The future looked pretty bleak. But if we had to choose another name, we might give it a name like the great and powerful Sabbath of Jesus, something like that. Because this day really is about Shabbat. It's about Jesus had finished his work and he was resting. Now, it's pretty crazy to think about being dead as resting, and actually, Jesus was busy doing stuff during this time period. In First Peter, it mentions that he was down in Sheol, down in the dead parts of the cosmos, and he was preaching to the spirits who were in prison since the time of Noah. So, in other words, he was trash talking the evil spirits. He was perhaps setting free all the Old Testament saints who had been bound down in Sheol. You will not leave my soul in Sheol. All of that stuff you might see in the Psalms. And he was setting the whole cosmos straight again because of what he had done by triumphing, by having his victory at the cross. But during this time, it sure looked like everything was hopeless. And what the disciples didn't recognize is what was going on behind the scenes. And this is part of what really Shabbat is all about. It's part of what it means to rest. Because oftentimes we think that our whole lives are about us. If I don't do it, nobody will. God helps those who help themselves. Except, of course, that's not biblical at all. In reality, very often the Bible has to tell us the battle belongs to the Lord. And if we trust him, He will work things out in his own way and in his own time. And often what he requests us to do is to sit and reflect and watch and wait. Watching, not passive. Waiting, not passive. But restful, yes. The disciples didn't know how to rest and wait for Jesus. But isn't it interesting that they ended up doing exactly that anyway? They simply ended up doing it with a lot more anxiety. They said, what do we do now? What do we do now? When in reality, they could have said, well, I don't understand what's going on, but I know that the Lord is still in control. I believe that what I saw Jesus do was not for no reason. And if they had stopped and really considered it, they would have had a lot more peace. So as we ponder this bleak Saturday, when all that had been done was done, and all that was yet to come was still coming, Sunday morning came all the same, regardless of what the disciples were doing on bleak Saturday. Let's choose that we ourselves will have peace during the process, trusting that what all of the words the Lord has spoken will come to pass at the right time. And let's be reminded by this bleak Saturday that oftentimes we can't see all that the Lord is doing while He's doing it. So enjoy your Shabbat, and I will see you tomorrow where we will celebrate Jesus being really and truly risen. Amen. Welcome to Holy Week.